Thank you all for joining. This is the Sol-Ark and Pytes training webinar. My name is Kevin, sales manager for the Power Store. We are a wholesale distributor for solar products. For those of you guys that don't know us, we've been open for about 13 years. We've experienced growth throughout every one of those. We have two locations currently located in Texas and North Carolina. I believe we have our entire sales staff on here. We are all trained, we're all NAPCEP trained, and we can all help in design and support for any of these Sol-Ark and Pytes systems. So you guys can feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email at any point, and we're usually very quick to respond, and we'd be happy to help out with any questions you have as well after this webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and hand things off to John at Sol-Ark, and he'll start the presentation for us.
We want to spend our webinar time together today to talk about our functionality, but also to allow one of our battery partners, Pytes, to showcase their product line. There's some unique features of the Pytes product line that I think deserve some attention. Sol-Ark is like the Power Store. We're located in Texas, just north of Dallas. We're growing like crazy. Our company just located into a 500-person office. We don't have quite that many employees yet, but we're posing for increasingly more and more growth. Our technical support, our engineering, our sales, all of that is done out of our Texas headquarters, and you can actually come by and send your crew out here, and we will train you on our product wall on site. So, Dallas is a very travel-friendly city, and we encourage you to take advantage of that. Sol-Ark prides itself on support. We have a support line 7 days a week. We have an army of support technicians that are all in-house. That means we develop and build as our company scales up, so that our support is a primary focus of our company, and that is indicative of our high 5-star review ranking on Energy Sage, which are organic reviews. So we have a very large number of 5-star reviews, more than anyone else. That is how seriously we take our product support. On our website, you can find some sizing tools, some battery sizing calculators based off your load, a string sizing tool to determine the right number of panels to go on the inverter. You can always use our support ticketing system to throw your design idea through the support ticketing system. We will provide feedback and help steer you in the right direction alongside our distribution and battery partners. But you can utilize us as a first line of defense for your support needs. That doesn't matter if you're the installer or the end user, the customer. We support all stakeholders in the Sol-Ark ecosystem. And that includes, a dozen on-staff engineers and, online monitoring, troubleshooting assistance. We have a number of UL 9540 battery partners, and UL 9540 is kind of the gold standard certification in the battery industry. What is unique about two of our battery partners, and those would be HomeGrid and Pytes. So Pytes is in a rare class amongst our battery partners, in that they are one of two who have gotten the UL 9540 second edition, which, if you're an installer, that inspectors and permit offices, they're being trained on the latest and greatest in battery code. And out in California, the second edition UL 9540 is mandated, and we expect that most jurisdictions across the country next year will also mandate not just that the batteries are UL 9540 rated, but also that they are UL 9540 Edition 2 rated. So Pytes is one of the few battery manufacturers in the market who have undergone that level of certification, and it is co-listed with the Sol-Ark inverter. So this is a system that can get you through, the toughest jurisdictional inspections in the country, and will be increasingly important design consideration next year throughout the country, especially in the jurisdictions where you go through a hard permit review process. Now, if you are off grid, that is fine too. We have a healthy number of customers who are off grid. And then the certifications, maybe there's no inspector looking over your shoulder, but they still are required by building code, and that goes into, homeowner insurance policies and all these things that maybe the do-it-yourself community is nice to know about, but in terms of professional installations are absolutely, important. Sol-Ark makes hybrid inverters. So the question is, well, what is a hybrid inverter? We know microinverters and solar inverters, and there are also, battery-only inverters like the Tesla Powerwall. So what is a hybrid inverter? A hybrid inverter fixes a lot of problems in solar battery design. When you have a wide variety of parts necessary for a complete system, you have to know what you're doing to get the design right. You need to look at the right number of solar inverters relative to the battery inverter, the right number of battery inverters relative to the load, and you need additional equipment like transfer switches to disconnect the grid from the load. A hybrid inverter combines all of these features into one unit. And so it dramatically simplifies the design and installation. When you sum up the total of all of those extra parts, including all the material required to connect those parts together, hybrid inverters are far and away the most cost-effective way to do a solar battery project. And the Sol-Ark 15K, one feature that it has led the market on is transferring the full amount of grid power through the inverter when the grid is available. So grid service is much larger than what most homes use on a day-to-day basis. It can power up to over 40 kilowatts of power can come from the grid into the home. Most homes only use 10 kilowatts or less. The Sol-Ark 15K can provide 15 kilowatts of power during the day and 12 kilowatts at night. But when the grid is connected, it can pass the full amount of grid power through. So you can literally put the 15K, we'll show it a little bit, but just between let me get another slide ahead, but you can literally put the 15K between the electric grid and your service panel, and it manages the energy from your battery bank, from your solar array, from a generator, and from the grid. It manages all that energy and then puts it into your home panel without the need for backup panels or critical load panels. If those are what you prefer, you can still do that with a Sol-Ark 15K. So a hybrid inverter combines a lot of different functions together. And this is just a very lightweight webinar, so we're not going to go into all of those features. But the fact of the matter is, designing a whole home design is very complicated, and installers like Sol-Ark because it provides a cost-effective and simple way to put all of these functions on site in a short period of time. Now, the inverter is used for different markets and different applications. There are commercial installers who build three-phase systems out of our Sol-Ark 15K. There are off-gridders who live off-grid with the Sol-Ark 15K. There are grid-tied customers who, they don't want to go all the way off-grid. They want to have some backup power for when the power fails, and they also want some backup power to kind of optimize their utility rates. Your utility rates and how your system needs to use its energy varies depending on what state of the country you're in. Depending on who you buy power from, the Sol-Ark can handle it all. So it can be programmed for peak shaving, time of use, off-grid, utility incentives, the harshest certifications in the country the Sol-Ark can get, as well as off-grid capable. And so that's actually really nice because installers, whoever their market is, whether it's off-grid, residential, or even commercial, the Sol-Ark platform will carry through to all of those sites. So today we are going to talk about the Pytes battery, and just one important note to get started. The Sol-Ark 15K is our premier inverter. It's the #1 inverter that you will be designing with in a residential grid-tied setting. And the Pytes battery minimum with the 15K is 5 batteries. So that's between 20 and 25 kilowatt hours worth of batteries from Pytes. So that is something to keep in mind. Retrofitting with a Sol-Ark is very easy. If you already have solar on site, you can take that solar array and land it on the generator port of the Sol-Ark, and the Sol-Ark will accommodate very large residential solar arrays going into that generator port. I think up to 19 kilowatts of existing solar. So if you've already installed solar and you want to add the system to it, you can keep your current equipment. There are some, it's, having solar inverters plus, a Sol-Ark inverter, that might not be the best solution for new construction, but for existing construction, it's a very cost-effective retrofit, a very easy retrofit. So being able to accommodate up to 19 kilowatts of AC coupled solar means that almost every residential home that's grid tied and has a batteryless solar array on it, can be easily installed alongside and retrofitted with our system. If you are not doing AC coupling, if you're doing new construction, you just land the solar directly onto the Sol-Ark, so that's easy too. You're not buying multiple inverters. And so you might say, well, what can if I have the solar connecting directly to the Sol-Ark and I don't have a generator on site, is there anything else I can do with that port that the generator or an AC coupled solar array would plug into? And the answer is yes. You can. The Sol-Ark comes with a kind of a Swiss Army knife port that can do a lot of things, and it can do load control. So the Sol-Ark is not a load controller, and there are many good third-party load control options on the market. But if you don't want to go with a third-party load control option, you could put, say, an electric tank water heater. Electric homes, that's 35% of your energy use. You can take that electric tank and put it on the generator port of the Sol-Ark and do some smart load control. So, for example, California with net metering 3.0, that's a big buzz topic in the largest market in the country. They're really getting into time of day and time variable meter rates, where load control is incredibly important now in California. And you can use a Sol-Ark system within reason to implement load control on site. Of course, if most customers will still want to look at, maybe a Lumen load controller. Everything with Sol-Ark can be remote monitored. The settings can be adjusted remotely as well, so that installers or interested homeowners, as well as technical support, can take a look at your system settings and make adjustments if they didn't get installed correctly the first time through. And then we have rapid shutdown capability in our inverter. So whether or not you have a Tigo or an NEP or AP systems rapid shutdown on the rooftop, that rapid shutdown transmitter can be wired up to the Sol-Ark and used as the rapid shutdown system. So we have more on that in just a minute, but it's very common to use third-party rapid shutdown systems with us. Comparing our system to SolarEdge or Enphase, we're right in the same price point, if not a little bit less expensive. Now that's when you're talking about larger battery bank systems. And smaller battery bank systems right now are popular because installers don't know what they're doing when it comes to design. The customer says, well, I want a battery, and the installer puts 5 kilowatt hours of batteries onto a home. Even 10 kilowatt hours of batteries is not really enough power to deliver substantial whole home backup to a customer. Now you can always do smaller loads and smaller backup. You can do that with Sol-Ark as well, but where Sol-Ark's value, exceptionally outpaces the pack is when you get into that whole home backup setup. And of course, every solar customer, their number one question has been, well, what happens when the power goes out? Solar customers expect whole home backup to be a feature in their system, and this becomes a good selling point. Sol-Ark has also released the 30K three-phase inverter. This is a unique inverter in that it is a 208 three-phase inverter right out of the box without any additional transformer. That is a very unique inverter on the market. It is very hard to find a native three-phase 208 inverter out of the box. It can parallel stack, so you can do very large 208 three-phase Y systems. Pretty much any 208 three-phase system you can do with the Sol-Ark 30K architecture. Our 60K is coming out very soon. It is available for pre-order, and that will do 480 right out of the box. Now, those are high voltage inverters, and so they require a different battery. I'm sure Pytes will have a high voltage battery in its product line in the future. Right now, with Pytes, we're targeting our residential market, 48 volt range, like the 15K. All right, another item that's just about to drop on the market is the Sol-Ark Optimizer. So you might have looked at the past slide and said, well, SolarEdge or Enphase, they have module level panel electronics. They have shade optimizers that you put on each panel that give you module level monitoring, that also give you shade optimization. Sol-Ark is about to release its own optimizer onto the market. And by about to, I'm saying they're putting the finishing touches on the communication between the optimizer and the control board, and we have pricing through our sales channels available for our distributors, and I expect these things to be on the market for sale in a month's time, 2 months at the most. And what can they do? Well, you get that module level monitoring. You can see what every panel on the market is doing. On top of that, you have the shade mitigation. And a unique feature of the Sol-Ark Optimizer is that it doesn't always optimize. Like, well, hold on, I'm buying the optimizer to optimize. It's called an optimizer. Well, an optimizer, when a solar panel is not shaded, an optimizer does not need to manipulate that power. It can just pass the power straight through. And that means it doesn't work as hard as, say, the SolarEdge optimizers, which are always engaged in their optimization because of the unique features of the Sol-Ark inverter. And so what that means is technically our optimizers only engage in their power control when a module on that circuit is shaded, and otherwise they just sit there and pass through power. And at the end of the day, that means there's less to do for the optimizer, and that means there's less of a long-term failure of the optimizer, because it's not doing as much. And of course, the rooftop, these things are installed behind every solar panel on the roof. The rooftop is the harshest environment in your home. It's hot, it's wet, it's humid, it's dry. You don't want to go up there. It's up in the air, it's slanted. And so you want an optimizer that you're required by code to have module level panel electronics for rapid shutdown compliance. And so you want to think about longevity when it comes to optimizer selection. We think that it's going to be a very big success.
Yeah, hi, hello everyone. My name is Echo. A little bit about me. I will be the trainer from Pytes today. I've been in the renewable energy industry for more than 8 years, and I actually am the first employee for Pytes Energy Storage business unit back to 5.5 years ago. And right now I'm the managing director for Pytes USA. If you guys have any questions for energy storage or lithium-ion cells, or solar, you could reach out to me. Yeah, I will take about half an hour to talk about our company and products and the communication packages with Sol-Ark inverters. So Pytes is a long-time battery player. We've been in the battery industry for about 19 years, and we middle-sized company with about 1,000 employees, including 600 workers though. And we are a battery manufacturer, which is located in Shanghai, and we have factories in Shanghai, Shandong in China, and also we have factory in Vietnam. And this is a glimpse of our Pytes Shanghai factory. So I will talk about what we do. In Pytes, we actually focus on battery solutions for different areas, including electric bikes, electric motorbikes, and energy storage. And currently, energy storage business unit is the fastest growing in the sector for us. And our philosophy is, make products in Asia, made in Asia, and we serve locally. So all of you could see the screen that we have built factories in Asia, and we have built different local sales offices and after sale service offices and warehouses outside of China, mostly in Europe and in North America. And right now we've got offices and warehouses in LA, Dallas, and Panama, even in Puerto Rico. What different us from other battery players that we are an OEM battery provider previously and now, and we have very extensive battery making experience. Right now we are #1 e-bike battery provider for the US market, and also one of the top 3 for e-bike battery market in Europe. And we are also the battery provider for Fortune 500 companies in the world. So you can count on our battery quality. This is a part of our Pytes USA team. I would like to explain how we serve our customers for North American market. So for each customer, we have a team to serve the customer. So the sales director will be the team leader, and there will be sales manager, product manager, and fulfillment manager to take care of different part of the customers' questions and requests. So these are our stocks in North America. We keep about 1,000 pieces of batteries in stock, safety stock. So any installers who want batteries within 1 week, we are able to deliver. In addition to the products we provide, we also provide different services, including a webinar and on-site training. Of course, we provide pre-sales and after-sale services to distributors and installers. And we have, we have all the documents available in Pytes USA, our website, and on the Google Drive link. We also working on bonus plan for to marketize for our installers or distributors on Google Ads or other social media ads. Then I will talk more about the energy storage systems we've got. Here on this slide, you could see a family of our products, including from small power products like portable power stations to 12-volt batteries to 48-volt batteries for residential energy storage. And later on, by the end of this year, we will also have the high voltage batteries for light commercial and industrial applications. This is a picture of our current 48-volt 100R battery module. So here you could see this module is very, very popular right now in the US, and we position this product as affordable battery for a backup solutions for backup purpose. And so on this page you could see the model itself. Each one is 5 kilowatt-hour battery module, which could be connected to many pieces, which I will introduce later on. And it's UL listed, different UL, and also it's SGIP approved, and it's CEC approved as well.
I really like those battery connectors on that Pytes battery. They're very robust. They come with cables to snap in the cables. And as an installer, I appreciate that level of commitment, because the battery connections are solid when done that way, and they're not exposed like a ring terminal would be. So I very much like the cable selection that you've done with those.
Yeah, it's very easy to click, and it's also really reliable. Yeah. And for the batteries we provide, we also have different very flexible options for customers to choose, including easy brackets to other battery cabinets. So on this page you could see very easy options to connect our batteries together. So on the left side, it is our most popular brackets, which could hold up to 4 pieces, but actually it could hold up to 6 pieces of battery as well. And if it is more than 6 pieces of batteries, you just need to put the battery into different groups. And this one is also very affordable, about $40 to about $50 to $60 per pair for each battery. And with that bracket, you could either install the batteries wall mounted or on the ground. And Also, we are, Pytes is a customer-centered company, and we figure out that some other customers have different requirements for the battery boxes, like wall-mounted battery cabinets and outdoor cabinets, and also cabinets to fit into like more than 2 batteries. So on this page, you could see different options, which the battery cabinets can fit 2 batteries or maximum 6 batteries, and also the cabinets comes with indoor option and outdoor option. So very flexible options for customers to use, and most of the enclosures are available in our warehouses as well. These are some actual installations in the for the North America and the Central America market. So you can see Artbox B, Forest RB, and brackets, wall-mounted brackets. John has already introduced the UL9540 system previously, so I will talk about mainly on the battery side. So right now, our UL9540 system modules supports 12 key and 15 key from Sol-Ark, and for the battery side, it's up to 12 batteries in parallel. So basically, the UL9540 system covers from 20 kilowatt hour to even 60 kilowatt hour system. So enough for most backup applications. We are also our batteries itself also are UL9540A approved, and it means the batteries has passed thermal runaway fire propagation tests to avoid thermal runaway when in worst case there is fire. Later on, I will talk more about the benefits you could get from Pytes battery. I see on the market there are different battery options, but as a battery provider, in our opinion, the most important thing for a battery is still safety, reliability, and durability. The rest, like the outlook or the appearance of the products, they are important, but that's not critical. We think the core is safety, reliability, and durability, and to guarantee that we make sure on each level from cell level to BMS level to PAX level, it's 100% safe. So for the safety on cells, we use only Tier 1 automotive lithium iron phosphate cells, and we never use any grade B cells, always grade A. And as for the battery management system, we developed the battery management system ourselves, and our R&D team has been in the energy storage industry for more than 10 years, and the BMS we developed have been used and applied worldwide and in large amount of number. So the BMS itself is very reliable, and it has different layers of protection. And at the same time, the hardware, especially the control, the MCU, the control chips for the battery management systems are all top brands instead of some some other not so good cheap manufacturer. And safety on the battery packs. We are a long-time battery pack manufacturer. We have very strict quality control, and for each of our battery pack, it is we do 100% 40-hour aging tests. Many of the smaller battery manufacturers do not conduct this tests. At the same time, I recommend all of you guys to watch some of the teardown videos our customers have done for us. It is available on Pytes USA website as well, so you could see the difference between us and other players. Next. And as for durability, I would first of all, durability depends on cells itself. So the cells must be long lasting. Second of all, it depends on the uniformity of different cells. So it requires the manufacturer to know how to make sure each cells in one battery pack are uniform, and also automation is important for the durability for a whole pack. And of course, the quality control is important. The compatibility with Sol-Ark is very important because Sol-Ark is the #1 hybrid inverter brand in the North America and other, even in Central America and even in Latin America as well. And most of, I would say, the majority of Pytes battery customers use Sol-Ark, and we have different, actual installations in Indiana, Puerto Rico, Panama, California, and all other, and of course in Texas and Florida. So you do not need to worry about the communication problems between Sol-Ark and Pytes system. I would also to emphasize that our battery is a very modular design, and it's very scalable. So it's easy to scale up from. You could use it from one battery module to up to 56 battery modules. So from 5 kilowatts hour system to 280 kilowatts hour system is no problem. So it could be, it's ideal for homes, of course, and it's also very ideal for small commercial systems. I would say about 20%, maybe more than that, about 20% of our customers use Pytes batteries for commercial applications such as hospitals and schools to power up those areas. And for the next generation, the scalability will double, so it will be about 500 kilowatt hour system. Yeah, and our batteries are easy to install, and no maintenance, and we provide all the BMS software tools for easy diagnosis purpose, and the battery management system is very easy to replace, and so far our failure rate is pretty low. And for those of you who have already used our batteries, you could go to our websites and YouTube channels to check all the to get or to download all the materials available for Pytes battery.
By far and away, the #1 barrier for installers right now, and for homeowners and everyone in lithium, is the cost of the batteries. And that's whenever we survey installers, they say, we wish the batteries were lower cost so that we could do more of them. And I think that's where, and you really didn't imply this in the presentation, but Pytes being a cell manufacturer and having that server rack battery experience enables it to deliver its own server rack battery with its own BMS, using nobody else's cells, using nobody else's BMS components. And so you deliver a very compelling price point for the server rack battery product class.
John has already helped me to explain this point. Actually, I've read some marketing materials and I've talked to different customers. Cost remains a barrier for more applications for lithium-ion batteries, no matter where. And as John explained, we as a battery manufacturer, we are directly from the batteries are directly from the original manufacturer, so there's no middle cost. And as you could see, this server rack battery designs, the design is also very simple. So this is why the cost itself is also good. So we believe in such way we could bring more value to end users and therefore more sales volume for installers. For a setup, we on Pytes website, again on Pytes website and the YouTube channels, there are lots of videos about how to set up. So for this section, I will talk about it very quickly. So but for more details, you could reach out to us later. So for Sol-Ark and Pytes setup is pretty easy. If it is less than 8 pieces, so basically customer need to check the battery version. But mostly our C version on the market, and later on it is a C version. There's no A and B. Then you need to check the tip switches, and the Sol-Ark is on the first. And then need to check the wiring and pin out, things like that. Yeah, we could quickly go through all these slides. Yeah, connect the inverter. Yeah, if it is more than 8 pieces, you will need a hub. Next. So we will have a look at how to set up a bigger battery system with a hub. Next. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and Echo, we have a couple of questions. Do the batteries come with any battery cables or combining bus bars? Are these components that the installer needs to procure independently?
Actually, we provide battery cables, and for the battery cables to inverter, we also provide one set.
A couple of things to note here. Larger systems, you'll be putting a bus bar inside a gutter. If the cabinets don't include bus bars, I'm a big fan of Blue Sea bus bars. They're high amperage and affordable. There's a Blue Sea bus bar brand to look into. So it's very common to put bus bars inside the electrical raceway between the battery and the inverter. Also, the batteries communicate to Sol-Ark via CAN bus, which is Sol-Ark's most common configuration. This is for a Sol-Ark 12K inverter, which has a maximum amperage of 185 amps. You would put in the maximum inverter amperage or 50 amps per battery, whichever is lower. So just keep in mind the Pytes battery has a 50 amp per battery maximum. That should be programmed into the inverter. For the installers in the room, when you're programming the communication circuit, it's on our most common communication platform, which is the BMS lithium battery 00 setting. And so here are some common inverter settings and parameters. So you see a float charge of around 56 with absorb, equalization disabled, and then various shutdown voltages. So if you go to the Pytes website, they do have a download section, and in their download section, there are integration guides. for various inverters, including Sol-Ark. And so you can get those battery settings from the Pytes website. If you have questions, you can always fill out a support ticket, even with Sol-Ark. But the links are included, are referenced below. But you can get these links off of their website. And then looking at the Pytes product map, it looks like you can monitor the batteries through the Sol-Ark monitoring portal. It does look like Pytes is coming out with their own battery portal for their own monitoring. It looks like they're coming out with a heating battery, which is a better battery for an outdoor setting. And then working on some additional cabinetry. It also looks like they're coming out with a premium server rack battery, where what you can see in this kind of upgrade to their existing 48100 series is a 1C charge and discharge rate. So it can fully charge or fully discharge within an hour's time. The 48100, that would be more akin to a 100 amp output instead of a 50 amp output, with heating options as well. So that's going to be a better suited battery for hitting the minimum project size. You might see whereas with Pyte's existing battery, you'll want to do 25 kilowatt hours with the Sol-Ark 15K to get the full 12K out of the battery side of the inverter. With the next edition of the Pytes battery, you'll be able to get away with probably 3 batteries being the minimum size instead of 5. However, just keep in mind that means your battery bank is only 15 kilowatt hours, not 25, and that means you'll have less backup capability when there is a power outage. So especially if you're in a region where you lose, you're guaranteed to lose power a couple times per year, you'll always want to go with a larger battery bank. But for those smaller kind of budget-driven installations where they really want a battery more for when the grid is online, for energy management, for time of use management, when you're trying to get rid of your peak use only, which is not 100% of your home, it's only a fraction of the home. The Pytes second edition battery with the 1C charge and discharge rates and heating will be a very popular option. The high voltage battery will come out soon as well, and that will be compatible with the Sol-Ark high voltage inverter so that you can use it in your commercial sites. And who knows what the high voltage future will bring later on into the year or into next year in a residential setting as well. We still like 48 volts for residential setting because it's nice and safe compared to high voltage. Not that it's foolproof, but lower voltage is more safe than higher voltage. But both Sol-Ark and Pytes is prepared for high voltage. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the Q&A. Do the battery cabinets come with bus bars, or are the bus bars going to be an additional item for purchase?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what I recommend to the audience is to look at Blue Sea bus bars.
It will be additional
in a wide
item
variety of
for
amperages.
purchase.
So their 250 amp bus bar is incredibly inexpensive. They also have a wide variety of 600 amp and 1000 amp bus bars that are listed and suitable for purpose. Damon, you mentioned remote programming for time of use and power hour stuff. Can you elaborate? Yeah, this is actually where we're presenting this as a webinar on June 20th. But let me go ahead and show you what I've been, it's kind of a sneak preview. But California is going through a very interesting change. They're getting rid of net metering and going towards aggressive time of use metering. And what that means is you'll need a battery to store the electricity during the day. And if you're going to discharge into the electric grid, to discharge in at higher priced times. And particularly in September, you can lock in a rate where in September you can be paid 10 times the cost of electricity for what you dump into the grid between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. And that goes back to a weather event that PG&E had in September last year, where they ended up paying about 4 times as much for peak energy, which is already premium priced, than they normally would, just because of a series of unfortunate events that spiked the energy pricing. So a very basic and simple net metering process is going away, and smart utilities are replacing it with time-based incentives for homeowners to dump their solar arrays production into the grid via batteries. And so, certain hours are just incredibly expensive, and to get the same, there are some cost advantages of doing that. You can get away with smaller systems, maybe smaller solar arrays with a larger battery bank, but you have to be very careful about how you do your design work. So this is a very kind of California specific issue. At the end of the day, Sol-Ark's operating software is incredibly flexible, and it can accommodate a wide variety of time of use programming. The way I say it is you have to kind of speak through what's happening. But in this instance, we have the Sol-Ark time of day programming settings set up so that the battery maintains a state of charge, a grid provided state of charge overnight, and then charges with solar all the way full during the day. And then for a 2-hour window from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., it's programmed to sell back into the grid. And of course, this can be done based off multiple seasons and by day of the week. And so even though the California kind of net metering 3.0 structure is quite complicated for consumers, the robustness of the Sol-Ark software and flexibility of the Sol-Ark software is that you can just, even using the touch screen of the inverter. So yeah, you can go program this remotely, but even if you didn't want to connect the inverter to the internet, you could just use the touch screen on site to program, these settings into the system. So, it's not to say that all of this stuff is simple or easy, but it is more simple and more easy than what I've seen on other programmable, on-site programmable displays of other inverter systems. So added protection if BMS failure. A couple of items on that. First off, it's fairly rare for a battery manufacturer to make its own BMS. Battery systems are often a sum of their parts, and that's what we would call a pack manufacturer. Is they take parts from cells from company A and parts from company B, they put them together in a pack. Pytes is much more vertically integrated than that. So it is, they make their cells and they make their BMS units, And so that provides a degree of quality control. And furthermore, they make batteries for other markets that don't need as high quality of cells. So they have something to do with the cells that are not EV grade or not, automotive grade. They can go and put in their other electronics. So, that's kind of that vertical integration results in high quality, low cost server rack batteries. And BMSs that are designed for their system specifically, improved quality control, faster quality control cycles. The added protection of the BMS failure, you could always put in external fuses. Victron makes a external bus bar that's very easy to put external fuses in. The Sol-Ark itself has overcurrent protection built in as well. And then lithium iron phosphate, it has, it does not propagate thermal runaway as indicated by the large scale fire test. So it's a pretty safe system to begin with. The best way to avoid, VMS failure is to not operate the batteries at the maximum of their spec. So 50 amps is a very conservative spec, and that's a good range for a battery. For the higher performance batteries that are at a 1C discharge rate versus a C over 2, just because they have that tremendous amount of power doesn't mean it's always best for battery life for that. So let's see. Kevin and Echo, thanks for the presentation. We will have this presentation in our training portal, so that if you want to refer to the handouts or course materials, you can go to training.solark.com and pick them up there. So Damon asked, well, what about remote programming? You can just log into the Sol-Ark monitoring system and change all the settings there. Echo, if you want to turn the microphone back on, you might want to talk about remote programming capabilities of the batteries themselves. But, for the most part, you shouldn't need to do too much with the battery programming if you install it correctly the first time.
For our current 48100 mAh battery, there's no remote monitoring or remote programming. And if in some cases the software needs to be updated, upgraded, then we provide the cable, the tools for customers to update the software. But as John said, most of the time it's not needed to upgrade the BMS. At the same time, for our next generation battery, V5, and for later version of 48100R, there will be remote monitoring.
So I'd say that remote programming
of
the battery itself,
yes,
that's really
future,
not a homeowner issue.
Now,
it's not something that homeowners really ever get into. It's more for installers and fleet management and service calls. It's very common to update the battery when something goes wrong, and so remote monitoring is something that's coming for installers on the next gen Pytes server rack battery. Which, I mean, I think there's, if it's me, I think that the Pytes 48100 offers a very compelling value proposition today. The only thing to keep in mind with it is that it is a 50 amp limited battery. That actually makes the cabling a lot easier, because the battery to battery cabling doesn't need to be quite so thick. And if you need the kilowatt hour capacity, especially for those large commercial projects and also off grid living, you're going with a large capacity battery anyway. That next version battery that Pytes is coming out with, what that will do is make more inroads into the smallest possible battery sizes, which again customers may like because the smallest battery possible only adds a few $1,000s to the project. But once you take a step back and look at how batteries will be incentivized with time of day rate structures, customers are going to want 20 kilowatt hour, if not 40 kilowatt hour battery banks in the future. And the cost of that battery being the number one hurdle today. Okay. Guess it's fair to assume the power store carries these batteries. Yeah, the batteries are carried by the power store. Kevin, I don't know if you want to contribute any information on that.
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, thank you for everybody for joining us today. We do have these batteries in stock, and we also have plenty of Sol-Arks in stock. So if you guys don't have a rep currently, please just contact sales@thepowerstore.com and we'll answer immediately. But yes, we do have plenty of Pytes in stock and plenty of Sol-Ark, and we can help out. And if there are no other questions, just a quick thank you to John and Echo.
All right, so
you did great with
a lot of installers, their dollar per watt or their dollar per kilowatt hour, and when we look at 1,750 divided by, I think it was 5.12 kWh, you're looking at around $340 per kWh. Which again, it's like if you want a low installation price for your battery bank, the server rack form factor is the most cost-effective form factor. So then the next question becomes, well, what do you need to do server rack batteries in a quality manner? And one answer is, well, you would like to have a vertically integrated cell to pack manufacturer. And you would like to have, if not mandated in some jurisdictions like all of California, UL 9540 edition 2. And preferably you have like an updated design with, a nice racking system and snap-in connectors. So, that are some key values that Pytes has to offer, as well as, indoor and outdoor cabinets for the customers who need them. So that makes it a very flexible pricing options depending on the kind of customer that you have. Okay, well, you've been a great audience. Thank you for sticking around, and everyone have a great weekend. And Echo, thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you so much, John.